Hello and welcome. My name is Arin Fugate, and I'm one of the founding members of the Visionary Leaders Collective. And you are on the live recording of our Visionary Leaders podcast. Today, we are talking about becoming the healer in your own home. And the subject we have on the table is really important when it comes to managing the health outcome of you and your family members. We're talking about sugar cravings. We're probably going to talk about all sorts of cravings and even addictions, and how this new MetaPWR system is helping. So we're not just going to talk about how it can help. We're going to share stories of how it is helping, which I have been finding to be absolutely positively incredible and kind of unexpected. I'm going to share just a little bit about my relationship with food, sugar, and other addictive substances, and some things I've learned over the years as I've been on a self-healing journey, and specifically what I have experienced with MetaPWR over the last 30 or so days. And we're just going to kind of have a chat. Dr. Josie, Ariana, anyone else who wants to chime in about this, what you're experiencing and what's happening, that will be fabulous. So this is going to be a little different call than maybe we've had before, but I'm excited about it because it's a way for us to have a casual conversation and really just bring our experiences to the round table, as Dr. Josie likes to call it sometimes, the wellness roundtable that we have here. So it's important to know a little bit about my history and how I've worked with food. I had a traumatic childhood, and one of the things that wasn't done very well for me was feeding me or teaching me how to feed myself. So I grew up familiar with that feeling where your blood sugar goes to the point of, I'm absolutely starving and I need to eat right now. So I got into young adulthood, not really knowing how to nourish myself before I got that signal. It was almost like I got addicted to the rush of no food, no food, no food, and then I need to eat right now. And then my eating choices would be a lot of naked carbs, maybe a lot of sugar. It wasn't often that I was then breaking my fast with a whole bunch of nutritious food. So when I got to be in my early 30s, I was having some health issues, and I went to actually the naturopathic school in Portland, Oregon, and the students there ran me through all the tests, and they're like, you're not assimilating your nutrition. You're not like you're eating. I was trying to change my diet, and they're like, you're not getting it. Like you're anemic, you're pre-diabetic, you're all these things. And so I really had to retrain my body how to digest food in the first place. And I actually had a candida overgrowth. So I did 4 years of no sugar. It was really hardcore, but it was great. It was the reset that my body needed. However, sugar crept back in, and I love cookies and baked treats. And I definitely love that like dark chocolate you reach for when you're tired or after a meal. So I've been working with food for a long time. And one thing that has helped pre-MetaPWR is to actually stop myself and go, I hear or I see, it's kind of how I talk to my toddler. I see that you want that piece of chocolate or you want that cookie. What do you think your body's really craving right now? And sometimes the answer will be, I'm tired. It might be, I'm stressed out. It might be, I want a break, but I can't take a break. I have to push through. It might be, I'm sad. It might be, I'm lonely. And so I've just come to that practice of, it's not that I'm going to force myself not to have the chocolate. I'm just getting curious about it. I've also leaned on alcohol a lot throughout my life. I was a very heavy drinker in my 20s and 30s, and I weaned myself off of a lot of that, but I still was the type of person to have a glass or two of wine with dinner every night. And then I got pregnant with my girls, and my body went through another reset, and I stopped having the wine every night, but I would still go out with friends to dinner and order a glass of wine or maybe about once a week, I'd be like, oh, I really want a bottle of wine, and I'd get it, and I could only drink one glass, and then it would go bad. But anyways, that's another story. So in comes MetaPWR. And I started taking MetaPWR on September 16th. The time of this recording is October 24th. And what I began to notice was I didn't crave the sweets. I wasn't reaching for the chocolate. I was actually feeling discomfort in my body when I would eat naked carbs. And I mean, like, a cookie or a bowl of pasta or something like that. So I was like, oh, this is cool. This is really getting on top of my sugar craving. But the most shocking moment for me was when that time of the week came around and I was cooking dinner and I said, I want a glass of wine, because it's kind of this emotional thing for me. Like, I turn on the music, I'm sauteing up the vegetables, and I pour myself a glass of wine, and it's a whole vibe. Does anybody else have that glass of wine with cooking vibe? So I drank my glass of wine, and my one glass of wine turned into 2 glasses of wine. And then I went to bed, and I woke up in the morning and I was like, ugh, this feels horrible. It wasn't like the hangover feeling. It was just my body going, oh, no, we don't like that anymore. We don't like that blood sugar spike and crash and all that stuff. And so I have not wanted another drop of alcohol since, and that's been like 3 weeks now. And so that's another big blessing of MetaPWR. So I'm really curious to know what you're experiencing, Ariana, and you, Dr. Josie, and anybody else that wants to contribute to this conversation.
I love it. I'll jump in. So, Arin, I think what you said is so important about just observing emotional eating. And I was contemplating, I love that you started off with your childhood, because MetaPWR has really made me look back at my own experiences in childhood as well. And I come from generations of women that I know of who have had some funny relationships with food, right? So I'm not going to go too long into it, but I know my great grandmother and grandmother went through the war, and I know my great grandmother starved at some point, and my grandmother would hide sweets and cakes and stuff under the bed. That she had 5 children, so like I think it was her way to like have sweets and comfort. And then when I grew up, my mom and my sister and I all have this habit of not eating. So I can really relate, Josie, to you, Arin, and then so there was a combination of not eating, and so it's still a running joke. Like, my mom will come over and I'll be like, Mom, have you had breakfast? No, she's just had coffee, and it's 1 o'clock. So I can really relate to that. And then there was also this habit in my family system of eating sugar and sweets as a comfort, right? Which is so common as well. It's what we give children a lot for comfort. And so what I'm getting at is, when we look at the emotional patterns of any kind of addiction, what I like to ask is, what is it giving you? And that's what you do, Arin. You were saying, oh, I talk to myself and I say, what is it that I'm needing right now? That's such a beautiful, beautiful insight, because our body is incredibly wise, and it's actually cueing us like, hey, I need something, right? However, if we get in these habits and these patterns that aren't healthy, then I was overriding, like, my body's like, hey, I'm hungry. I'm totally overriding that for years and years and years, and going into these stress crashes. So I was just observing some of these same patternings. And when I started taking the MetaPWR, I didn't write down the date, but I think it must have been around the same date, around, you said September 16th, because I took it at convention, been taking it since. And I have noticed, I've said this in other calls, just an ease at hearing my body, at taking intellectual knowledge that I know, like we know about good food, we know we should eat, and just actually having the energy to actualize that in my life. So I was finding before that there were times when I would know something, but it was like I didn't have the like jumpstart on the engine to follow through. And that would often be at night when I was tired and reaching for sugar or reaching for comfort, or I'd get in a pattern of not eating because I'd wake up and be busy and I'd be focusing on work. And I don't know exactly how it's working, but there is something that's happening with the system that's just saying to my body is like louder and saying, oh, no, it's time to stop and go get breakfast now. I don't know how to better explain it. It's just, there's like, I'm able to do it and I wasn't able to do it before. So that has been really phenomenal. And I definitely think it's related to the blood sugar levels. I've been a person that's struggled with anxiety my whole life. And an unexpected benefit of the MetaPWR for me has been, I feel so much more grounded and happy. And I don't have these intense anxiety swings that I would have prior. And, you know, there's been a few days that I skipped taking the MetaPWR and I really noticed things coming back. It was like I really saw the contrast, which was really great, of when I was taking it and when I wasn't. So those are some big takeaways. And then another thing is, for me, I have a lot of inflammation in my joints and a lot of pain. Erin, I can really relate to your story in that I was having in my 30s inflammation, wasn't properly digesting my food. I was reaching for empty carbs. I also had candida, so I was in the same trajectory of being out of balance. And I've been working on that for a very long time. But I am reaching less for my polyphenols and my turmeric, which I was just having to take a lot of daily to get through my days. And I'm in a lot less pain. So I will hand the mic over because I know I've been talking for a while, but those are just some of the things I'm experiencing. And I think if I could sum it up in one sentence, I'm really, really experiencing a much better quality of life. I guess one more thing I want to add is that I got really sick with a virus early in 2020, and there were no tests at the time, so I'm not sure what it was, but I had a lot of symptoms of, for months and months, I was bedridden. I would stand up and fall to the ground. I was really, really ill. And I was having just massive chronic fatigue since that time for 2 years. And since I've been taking the MetaPWR, I'm actually, for the first time since then, able to fully engage in my life in a way that I was not able to before. And so for me, it's just absolutely changed my life. I went to the pumpkin patch with my daughter and had energy to do it yesterday, and it was great. And I just felt like I was a normal person, like, great, I'm not exhausted and tired. So those are some of the huge takeaways from MetaPWR that I'm experiencing.
Thank you, Ariana. I mean, it just makes me so happy to hear that there's something that can help and stuff that's so good for us.
I think we can name that, Ariana. I'm pretty sure that's long COVID. I'm just gonna say it. Yeah, if people were wondering if there was, we can say that word.
I was trying to be like
definitive tests, but yeah.
Yeah.
And so know that this is really helping with that for you, I think, is a powerful thing that we should let be known. I'd like to,
I was just going to say one thing, which is that I was reading a story about someone who had long COVID, and she had the same symptom, like drop attacks, where she's standing up and falling down, and, you know, was talking about going, you know, into debt because she can't work, and it's been years. And I was just thinking, I don't know this woman, it was just in a news article, but I was like, I wish I could give her the MetaPWR because I think it would help so much, you know? So yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to add a few things in with this conversation. Hi, this is Dr. Josie. In that, everything you guys have been saying, for me, it feels like the dialogue. You know, we always talk about we have inner dialogues, and we can have them where we're, you know, beating ourselves up. Like, what is that inner dialogue that's going on within us? And I don't know if we, you know, speak as much or voice about the kind of dialogue we have with food and with our cravings, our appetite, how we eat. And that's like this other sub dialogue that is going on constantly for all of us in terms of we're moving through our day, and we're kind of like, we might be saying things to ourselves on one level, but we're also kind of like, what am I gonna have for lunch? What am I eating now? I'm hungry. What do I feel like? Oh, what's in the pantry? Like whatever's going on in that inner dialogue, well, for me, and then people I've spoken to, patients and colleagues and friends and all of that, seems to be a pretty common, ubiquitous human trait. And that has been, like, I've noticed significant physical changes with my appetite and cravings, but the mental and emotional inner dialogue has been a huge unexpected shift for me, in that I just don't really think about food hardly at all anymore. Not in a bad way. So I've been, people know me, know that I do that low blood sugar thing, and I'll kind of go and not eat. And then, become I love that diva commercial, like, but sometimes the other end of diva, right? I can be a little intense to be around when my blood sugar drops. That kind of problem. So I've done that, where you're not thinking about food because you're busy, or you're kind of in like, or having like too much coffee in the morning, or I'm going too long with that morning fast. And that's not this. It's a quietness around that kind of buzz and that thinking and all of that. Yeah. And so at night, I've switched to taking my MetaPWR for the last week and a half in the evenings, right at the end of my dinner. And it has been incredible for for both myself and my partner, both of us. And we're very different. We're different in our relationships to food and our health journeys around food. And we both, it's just like that. And that's when we snack later at night, hard to have that time, and that's gone. The desire to snack, the snacking itself, the inner dialogue around it. You guys notice I came to the call. I had some early business calls. So it's like I have my shake with some blueberries in it. I have my homemade sourdough gluten-free bread that I baked. I'm very proud of that because I don't do a lot of baking. Some of my friends know. So, I'm eating now because I can't not eat. When I'm hungry, if I don't eat, it's like it's like my body's telling me, and I go and I need to eat it. Okay, I'm on a call. You guys are going to see me chewing. So it's that. So I just wanted to, other people can talk about that. I'd like to join Dr. Louise. I know we want to talk about this idea also. I want to pick it up about, like, we're all on a health journey, and this relationship as well with sugar, with cravings, with how we eat. We're all in different places, and it's individual, and it's a lifelong journey. And I was just speaking last week with someone who's younger, and was doing their first kind of like sugar fast, like stopping eating sugar, and and it was just so interesting to kind of remember that, like, way back when, and how many iterations I have gone through and we have gone through in our health journeys around kind of like starting, stopping eating sugar, then, eating sugar, and then what, carbs or alcohol or the different things. So we can, open the floor up for that. I would like to say, I am so very thrilled and excited for all of us. I hope we do one, the visionary leaders. I'd like to do some kind of group new year, new you cleanse like process in January that we've done in the past, because it will be different, y'all. It will be so different. And I'm so excited to lead people and be part of that with this tool, because that inner dialogue and that relationship with food, and to have this kind of tool, I am able to see how much further along in someone's process with whatever they want to be doing, with resetting, with cleansing, with new things, we will be able to do with this tool. So as a person who aids people in their health journeys, I am so excited for that.
Josie, real quick before we go to Dr. Rose,
Yeah.
clarity in the chat. Are you talking about you're taking assist after your meal
Oh,
or advantage? Which one are you taking at night
right.
after
I
dinner?
am taking the
Cravings?
assist with the meal, before the meal, or I'm trying to. Y'all, I'm having that. That's hard, right? It's hard to take something 20 or 30 or 10 or 2 minutes before a meal. We all know that. So, do your best. Don't be getting any inner dialogue around that one. But no, I have switched to taking the advantage, the collagen powder, right at the end of my evening meal. And I started doing that with myself and my partner because we were both feeling tired. And I consulted with some of my colleagues, and and it was like, hey, we feel like the body is in a reset and is transitioning and is healing. And just like I've counseled for 20 some years, my patients and people, that how long did it take you to get to this place? Did you just get blank a month ago? Did it just start in your body a month ago? No, right? It didn't. So whatever is going on, we're giving it time. But what we decided to do was to switch to that evening time. And I'll tell you the tips about it is no snacking at night, and it's being completely full with a smaller dinner, and sleep, really aiding with sleep as well. I know people are having that effect, all through the day when they take it in the morning too, but it's there at night. So that's an option for some if you're feeling like your body is really doing a lot of repair and you're feeling tired.
Thanks for clarifying that. Dr. Rose.
Thank you so much. Dr. Rose here. I just wanted to tie together a couple thoughts of things that I'm hearing to me. On these calls, we've talked a lot about the effect of our blood sugar spiking and dropping and how our insulin is related to that. And I think if you've been listening to these calls, you have a pretty good understanding of how that feeds into our unstable mood, unstable energy levels, cravings, because when our blood sugar drops, of course, we're going to grab any simple carbohydrate to feel good again. And then we're just on that roller coaster. But what I wanted to just sort of shed more light on is this idea, or this sort of analogy of our metabolic fire that we're building. So many of us, mostly women, but not exclusively women, have been part of this, myself included, part of this diet culture for all these years. So I had my children were born in 89 and 93, which was, and I gained quite a bit of weight with my pregnancies, and that was the era of low fat everything, right? And so what happened with a lot of us is that we got on this sort of roller coaster of restricting our fat intake and restricting our energy intake. And so what we're doing with MetaPWR is we're resetting our metabolism. And if you think about it as you're building a more efficient fire in your system. So to build a good fire, you don't want to just feed it damp, soggy, tiny sticks, which is what we're doing in the sort of diet culture of like restrictive, food sources. So we actually want to stoke that fire and build it up. So, even if you're somebody that has excess weight to lose, what I find in my patients is that often those of us who do carry around excess weight have been overly restricting our food intake for too long, and our fire is just smoldering. So, don't be afraid if you start to take these products and your body is telling you you need to eat more food. I love the idea of eat, stop, eat. Grazing all day long is not going to be good for that. What we want to do is we want to eat a healthy meal and then let our digestive system process that and release in between. So I just wanted to throw that in there in case the analogy of our metabolic fire was helpful to people. And I think I'm ready to go public with my testimonial. Um, it's I've been a little tentative because I'm like, is it really gonna hold? But I have a autoimmune inflammatory arthritis condition called polymyalgia rheumatica, which is caused for the last 4+ years. And to control it, I was on prednisone for 3 years, which we know has all sorts of negative side effects. And I finally was able to wean off the prednisone, but I was taking a really big methotrexate drug, which is a chemotherapy drug, which really suppresses the immune system. So before I went to convention, and the methotrexate is a weekly injection, so it bypasses my digestive system. So before I went to convention, I wanted to get the booster, and in order to allow my immune system to respond and build up antibodies to the vaccine, I skipped 1 week of my methotrexate. So that was the week before convention. And so when I was at convention, I started taking the MetaPWR products, and I came back from convention and I thought, I feel pretty good. I'm just going to wait and see how long I can go without injecting my methotrexate. And getting back to work and everything, I was starting to feel the joint pain come back and the fatigue and that sort of overall inflammation feeling. And I was like, oh no, here it comes. How long can I wait? I don't want to wait too long. Is it going to get away from me? And like Josie, I talked to Josie and Mika and other colleagues, and Mika said, try taking 2 packets of the MetaPWR Advantage, which I did. And since I've been taking 2 packets a day, I have still not had to inject my medicine, and I am off all my drugs, and I still feel achy in the morning, so I know it's still there, but it is totally manageable without my heavy duty medications. So pretty stoked about that and happy to finally feel confident enough to share it with you all.
Wow. That's so
Louise, Dr. Rose, that's a big share. Thank you. And to see that differential of going up, that's, I don't know, do we want to talk about that to what we would call super user double dose? And people could be asking, wow, well, how is that working? And there's so many things, there's such a base bottom level cellular metabolic, right? We're dealing with, that's what we keep trying to say, the entire our metabolic system, which kind of interplays with everything else, and dealing at that very base level of cellular function and cellular energy. So when you start to kind of shift and bring that into a transition and things start to change, a lot is possible and up for grabs. And so thank you for sharing to say that, you're cautious and you're kind of waiting and seeing and working with it. And here's where you are now. And that is really inspiring.
Well, and I will just say, it's not like I've just been sitting around for 4 years injecting myself with medications.
Yeah.
I've tried basically everything I know how to try and haven't gotten these results yet with anything else. And, a few weeks ago, Josie, we were talking about, and you were like, remember, Louise, there was some autoimmune thing with the NMN, and it wasn't autoimmune that it was affecting, it was the inflammatory cytokines. So a lot of us are experiencing a decrease in inflammation, and I think it is the NMN in the Advantage that is directly responsible for that.
And that's so cool, Louise, right? Because that also for COVID is, I know that there was the
Right.
cytokine response and the inflammatory response too.
Yeah.
So wow. And I can just be a testimony that I'm friends with Dr. Louise. This is Ariana. And you guys, when she said she's tried everything, her discipline and her diet.
Yeah, me too. Like,
and
right?
everything, I mean, she's 100% like, this
Mhm.
woman is dedicated. So that is a huge testimony.
Yes.
Do we have anyone else that wants to put an experience in the chat? This is a great time to put it in the chat and we can read out some experiences. We're talking this week about sugar cravings and cravings, but of course, if anything has happened for you with the MetaPWR that you want to share, we'd love to hear it. I've had a couple recent discoveries around concepts around what we're doing with MetaPWR that I'd love to share and also get the doctor's opinions. One has to do with intermittent fasting. So some people are bringing that practice into their routine as well. And I have stumbled upon a resource. Her name is Dr. I just have to remember her name. She wrote a book called Fast Like a Girl. Her name is Dr. Mindy Pelz. She's a fasting expert. And one thing she teaches, and I just really want to get this out there, is that if you are menstruating, so if you still have your menstrual cycle, that around day 17, day 21, when you're trying to have extra progesterone, you actually want to stop fasting, according to her. She said that you want to increase like progesterone foods that help with your progesterone, and that it's not the best time to fast. You could still fast a little bit, but she said definitely don't go a full 16 hours. So I wanted to give everybody that resource, but also hear what you guys think, Dr. Rose and Dr. Josie, about being careful with fasting around that time of your menstruation.
Louise, do you have a take on that?
I don't really, I would say that's sort of out of my realm of expertise.
Yeah, so I'll put her in the chat so you guys.
I like the idea. Just collectively from everything, you know, there's from so many of the different traditions and wisdoms that the menstrual cycle, you know, in yoga, while you're bleeding, that is not a time, you know, the red tent and then yoga, that is not a time to be doing any kind of intense exercise. So any yang type of foods, behaviors, things, it's a yin time. So in that idea of it, you know, before that, as day 17 and building towards progesterone, that makes sense to me, in that us with our cycles being more in tune with them and working with that. I would say that's a beautiful time to be working with the oils that support, looking at the oils that are in the Symphony of the Selves hormone. Would be, if you're wondering like what oils, all those ones are really supportive. Thyme is an oil that is known to be specifically progesteronic. It's in DDR blend, which we all love very much. Good thing to be in this fall winter season, to be putting on the bottoms of your feet every single morning. Just a simple little add-in like that. Boom, put it on your bathroom counter, put it on the bottoms of your feet during your morning routine. Done.
That's great. I put time on this morning because I'm on day 18. So I ate my breakfast this morning at 9 a.m. instead of waiting till 11. But I think it's important for us to talk about a little bit because it seems to be out in the doTERRA ecosystem that people are bringing intermittent fasting into this metabolic reset balance. And I think that comes from Dr. David Sinclair and Dr. Andrew Huberman. They talk a lot about this NMN supplement and metabolic health, but then they also bring in the research that's been done on mice about how great fasting can be for anti-aging. And so I know that we're going to hear about that, and there's people doing it. They even talked about it at convention, but I thought it was really important to remind us how to do fasting in a way that actually helps our body and not hurts our body.
Yeah, I'd love to bring at some point Dr. Mika Carew on to, she has talked to me about there are definitely some body types and where intermittent fasting is not always the most helpful thing initially. And so depending on how much in your past you have been withholding, in a sense, from old diet systems and not eating, how depleted your system is, what your background is, and your body type, it can throw some body types or keep them in a storage mode without going into what it's intended to do. So I just want to put that little asterisk there. For, a lot of people, it's incredible and incredibly helpful to get that, as Dr. Louise said, to get that burning and that fire of our metabolism going, and to allow our system that kind of metabolic rest and action to be doing all this metabolic work without having to then digest. 70% of our energy goes to digestion when we're eating. Boom. So this is like one of the reasons you do a cleanse, right? We're working on our gut and to work on our gut, but we're also looking to liberate that 70% of energy into healing and to doing other things rather than digestion during a fast or a cleanse. And so that's like a long fast, let's say 3, 5 days, 7 days, something like that. So when you do intermittent fasting, it's the same thing on a smaller scale. And so there's, as we can see, there's a lot of science and a lot of things that are coming out about it and the benefits. I just think that it's not like anything else. It's not a one size fits all and it's not right for everybody to initially start with it. So if you're finding that it's, you're trying it and it's not working for you, that could be a thing to kind of wait and sort of relook and look into some other things and say, well, maybe my body's not ready for this. I will say that the MetaPWR for sure is making it a lot easier, and it seems to dovetail with it metabolically for our systems. So I think it might, in a sense, be a tool that will help some bodies be able to move into that, working with it in a more productive way.
Thanks, Dr. Josie. There's a couple of comments, just some things that people have experienced. Tanya Mustaine says it's been a game changer for her fight against Candida. Her brain fog is alleviated and she lost 7 pounds. We have, some people are pointing out that they had to work with the system because in the first couple of weeks they felt like some detoxy things. So Mandy is mentioning that she played around with her food timing, and that's helping. And we had Nancy point out that she wasn't really liking the taste of the Advantage, so she did half a packet and added tangerine drops to it.
Nice.
Good. I find the taste for me is best in cold water. I don't know if anybody else experienced that, but that's how I like it. And then over on Facebook, Carrie said,
did you see this? Sorry, I just wanted to say I love Aisha's comment. I don't know if she wants to come in or if she can or some more.
I didn't see it. Did she just?
I think she says, I have done, this is kind of what I was talking about. I have done fasting for years with not like intermittent fasting is what she means, without a lot of noticing benefits, I think. And MetaPWR is making it work for me now. It was her comment.
Cool.
And
yeah.
I have been seeing and hearing that from, maybe I might say, some woka women. I just learned that term.
Woka? Is that
women?
yoga?
No, it's women of a certain age.
Oh,
my demographic.
I'm playing around with the fasting, and what I love about it is it's making me not think about food all day.
Yes.
So I have this window of time where it's actually hard to get enough food in 8 hours. So now I'm more selective about what I eat because I want to make sure that I get enough protein and I get enough vegetables. And it just is taking that like snacking throughout the whole day out of the equation. Because I think something I used to do was not eat enough. So my husband would always be like, you leave food on your plate, or like, that's not enough food. And so I would eat my meal and then just snack all day. So that thing that Dr. Rose is talking about, where I wouldn't give my digestive fire time to go. So now with the fasting, I have to get in my meals with enough food, and there's not, I like actually eat rather than just snack all day. Asha's here if you wanted to say anything else about fasting, Aisha.
Hi, everybody. Yeah. So the thing about intermittent, and I'm joining late, so let me apologize if I'm repeating, but we know that intermittent fasting is really healthy. Like, it's really good to give your organs a break. And I have done this for 5 or 6 years because I teach yoga a lot in the mornings. So I'll have a coffee, no cream, kind of bulletproof, and then teach. And I don't eat till 1. But at my age, mid-50s, I still wasn't getting into the end zone of the slimmer waist that I wanted. Even though I'm in good shape, right? I'm doing all the right things, well supplemented, and MetaPWR has completely changed that. So I personally love the combination of doing intermittent fasting and adding in the MetaPWR. But I'm not doing it the other way around, right? So I've been doing that already for years, and now I'm watching the alchemy of working with MetaPWR and how that's changing me to achieve the things I've wanted to achieve for quite a long time and haven't. So I'm not sure who was the person who was asking about that. And if they were just doing it the opposite way, adding that in to their MetaPWR, it might take a little bit of time because you are readjusting all your insulin issues, right? Everything's changing all at once. And so that might be a bit much for you. I would just say give it time. But yeah, MetaPWR is blowing my mind and my husband's mind.
Woo,
Cool.
that is often. Let's address. Thank you, Asha. Did I say awesome? This idea of like hunger and cravings. Mandy brought up that it's making her more hungry, and then Arin, you said I feel more hungry, but it's different, right? I think we've talked about this in some of the calls. Yeah, for many of us, especially for me in the first, and then people I've been speaking with the first, I would say 3 weeks. I mean, it depends on the person, 3 weeks to a month in that beginning phase where things are calibrating, especially your insulin response and stuff. People were feeling lots of differences in terms of their actual hunger. We're not a craving or an appetite, but like the stomach rumbling and being like, I'm hungry. That's a good hunger. That's your system waking up. That's the fire being stoked. And we want to be, and there's that, we spoke here, I think Ariana wants to talk. We want to be listening. Our systems are recalibrating. Think about that. And like throw out a lot of the stuff that you've read about this diet, that diet, this diet, because every diet is not the right thing for everybody. And so a lot of that is intellectual knowledge. Start listening to the recalibration and where and when your body's actually hungry, and feed it good food to your best knowledge at those times. And then really listen if you have old habits of snacking or of all those, things that are habits, the cravings, the eatings that do not nourish you. Start to listen and tease apart the habit from and ask yourself, what do I really want right now? So that, Ari, you want to go? Yeah.
I'm not going to speak too much more on this because I think you covered it so beautifully, Josie. But if you would just take one moment to close your eyes, and the first thing that pops into your head as far as any kind of addiction or imbalance. So for some people, it's food. For some people, it's shopping. It could be alcohol. It could be drugs. It could be social media. It could be being really busy and being a workaholic. Those are just some of the things that we spin out on. And so you can open your eyes if you did close them. But I just invite you to identify maybe one of those things for you. Usually we all know about ourselves, what it is, right? And just pay attention as we're on this journey with the MetaPWR about how it changes. And I just will say really briefly, studied a lot of work on this, on emotional addictions, and it has to do with eating and other things. But the body is very wise. So the body is reaching for something. And we're just reconfiguring how to get the body what it needs. It's like we're a mama coming in and saying, oh, honey, you don't need another chocolate bar. Why don't we have dinner? Right? So it's like, you don't need another glass of wine. Maybe you just need a hug because you feel scared right now. Oh, honey, you don't need to have another cup of coffee. Maybe you just need to go and take 3 minutes to breathe before the next task, right? So just, I think of MetaPWR in that way. And I find that when we take our attention and not focus so much on what we're trying to give up, but actually focus on what we're trying to bring in to nourish, the mind is very nice and moving in that direction. So I know Arin wants to close with some stuff, so I'm going to leave it at that. But I know we did mention the addictions and food relationships. And so I just wanted to just plant that seed of just, we've already spoke of it, but just get curious, even if it's not food related. Maybe it's like, oh, I don't feel like I need to comfort myself by numbing out on social media because I'm actually nourishing what my mind and soul and body need, you know, whatever that is for you.
Thanks, Ariana. And just thank you everyone for all the fabulous shares. I don't even think I can read all of the testimonies that are coming in. There's so many great ones. And we're such a good community because we're learning things together. There's a lot in the chat that you might want to go read. I would ask you to please share these testimonies in our Wellness Simplified Facebook group. And if you don't know what that is, I'd love to take a moment to share it because it has been such a gift to me as a doTERRA wellness advocate. I have to tell you, I've had something happen in my doTERRA business that has never happened in 14 years. In the month of October, I have enrolled 6 new customers with the MetaPWR Kit. I've never enrolled 6 people in 1 month. I've never been a top enroller. I'm like a steady enroller, but 6 people in 1 month is absolutely amazing for me. And here's the coolest part. One of those people wanted to share. So she reached out and said, how do I share? And I said, just add them to our Wellness Simplified Facebook group and tag them in the video. So guess what she did? She upgraded herself to a wellness advocate and is now enrolled a couple people. So this is also the first time in my doTERRA career that somebody enrolls and in the same month, I mean, she's actually only had her product for 3 days. She's enrolled someone and she's made a fast start check. So if you have been around network marketing for a while, you maybe have heard that 2 of the secrets to success in network marketing is if you can have somebody have a powerful experience with the product and they make a check in their first 30 days, that's how you get someone off and running on a positive start. And we can have both can happen. And then the other secret to success in network marketing is when you have a simple and duplicable system, because once duplication takes hold, which is what has happened in my case, I had a customer enroll and now they've enrolled a customer, that's duplication, all using this very simple system. That's when network marketing becomes exciting and you can start making a powerful income. So I wanted to share that testimony, right? We have the health testimonies, but here's the business testimony. And I want to make sure that everybody knows how to use this Facebook group. And one of the things that makes the Facebook group powerful and work is when you share your testimonies in there. So I'm seeing so many testimonies in this chat. I want to see you flood that in the Facebook group. So what is this Facebook group? In case you don't know about it, I am actually going to share my screen so you can see it. And I've been thinking, because many of you might be being like, whoa, how did you do that, Arin? How did you enroll 6 people? And there is a little system and nuance to it that I'd love to share. And also, if I have enough interest, so I need you to tell me if you want this, you can put it in the chat. If I have enough interest, I will put together a 7-day challenge to help everybody get off and running and using the group and sharing. So this is our Wellness Simplified Facebook group. This is a place for you to bring in prospects. So somebody that wants to try MetaPWR or learn about MetaPWR. It is completely MetaPWR specific. So that's one key thing that I'm doing that I think is bringing this success for me, is I'm only talking about MetaPWR. I'm focused on MetaPWR. Everything that I'm sharing right now is MetaPWR. So they will find out about oils and supplements and all those things later, but the entry is MetaPWR. So I add them to this group by inviting them, right? You can invite them in, and then I tag them in the Start Here video. So this is a short video. It's 11 minutes, and it's going to be the class. It's the class so that you don't have to teach the class. It's a third-party tool, as we call it. So I tag them in the video here, and then I send them a message, tell them I added them to the group, I tagged them in the video, and that I'll follow up with them in a day or two to see what they thought of the video. Now, in most cases, I don't even have to follow up with the people. They're writing me a message and saying, sign me up, where's the link? I need this stuff right now. And in the group, we have 2 other videos that are really helpful. The second video is, you have your MetaPWR kit, now what? So you tag them in this video once they order their kit and it's arrived, and it's going to teach them how to take it. And it's going to give them a few important things to think about. It also plants the seed of sharing. So after they've gotten their MetaPWR kit and they've had a good experience, then you could say, who do you know that needs MetaPWR? And you tag them in this video. So this video talks about how to share and how to earn a commission. And it talks a little bit about the anti-aging industry, and it gets them excited about the business. From there, they're off and running, and they upgrade to a wellness advocate, and they start adding their people to this group. And they add, tag, message their people. This is when the duplication fire can take off. So there's 2 things that I need from you. One is to know, would you like me to run a 7-day challenge so that you can start sharing on social media and using this group? And would you please start sharing your testimonies in this group? Because you can see we had Sandra did a testimony, and it looks like we even pinned it to the top because it was so great. She talked about sleep and how she's getting more sleep. But we need more testimonies in here. We have some, they're great. Arin had a great testimony about going to the eye doctor, and her eyesight was improved from the MetaPWR. So we need more of those. I need those in there. Here we have Martine just got hers, and she's excited to get it. It's a fun group. And let me see in the chat to see who's interested in this challenge. I've got Ariana interested. Helena, you're hesitant about Facebook and social. You'll be courageous and consistent. That's one of the reasons I want to have the challenge, to help you all break out of your comfort zone with social media, learn how to do it. Josie wants a challenge. Okay, I need more people to want a challenge before I'll do it. Okay, I've got a couple more. That's almost enough. That's almost enough for a challenge. So just to give you a little thing to, like, homework to start thinking about, and I'll get the challenge put together, is the reason this is working for me, why I have people being added to the group and enrolling, is first of all, I post every single day on my Facebook profile. I don't post every day about MetaPWR. I post something that's either educational, inspirational, or entertaining. So I'm getting activity and engagement on my posts. So that's one thing you can start doing right now, is posting every day on your Facebook profile. The second thing I do is I add new friends every day, every week. My goal is 10 new friends a week. Where do you find new friends, you might ask? Well, you can definitely add friends of people that you actually know. Like if you go to a yoga class, try and find everybody that goes to the yoga class on Facebook and add them as a friend. You can also go into Facebook groups that are of interest to you. Maybe you like to garden, or maybe you're a mom, or maybe you like to travel. So you can be in these special interest Facebook groups and actually add friends from there, because you want to be adding people to your Facebook page. By the way, 2 of my enrollments this month are people I do not personally actually know. Never met them. It's just from these Facebook friend ads that I do every week. So the third thing that you want to do in your social media is start using your stories. Now, your stories are different than posting on your wall. It's something that people have to kind of opt into to look at, and that's your reality TV. So your stories are, what did you eat for breakfast? What, like, you went to the park with your dog. You, what I've been doing, what oils I put on my feet every morning. And every day on your story, you do post a MetaPWR testimony. So where can you get MetaPWR testimonies? They can be your own, but you can take them from Wellness Simplified, just screenshot them. And then there is a MetaPWR testimonial group that's doTERRA wide. And there's like 7,000 people in there already. So most of the people who share in that group will say in their posts, it's okay to share this. So you can grab testimonies there. And every time I put a testimony in my story, I have a call to action. And the call to action is either ask me about my learning group, you can join it, or the call to action is simply grab your MetaPWR kit here, and I use my link generator. So this is the kind of stuff that we go into in a challenge to help you with all of this, and I'll put it together. But in the meantime, if you'd like to start using social media to share MetaPWR and you'd like to use that group, your first homework assignment is to become active on social media and start posting. Yay, I'm hearing people want a challenge. Susan, Paul wants a challenge. What is my Facebook? Linda, are you asking for my personal profile? I can show you guys that in the last couple of minutes. Nancy, I'm looking at the Visionary Leaders Facebook group. Where do I find the resources about MetaPWR in the video that we discussed? Okay, we have it 2 places. It's in the group first. I'll put a link to the group. And for duplication purposes, if you can build on Facebook and use the group, that's going to be more powerful. But some of you might have people who aren't on Facebook. So we have also made a page for you on our team website. We have 2 pages. We have a MetaPWR page, which would be sent to a prospect. It has the video and everything. But we also have a build with MetaPWR page. So that's everything you need to know if you want to build your business with MetaPWR. And I put both those links in the comments. I'll put it over on Facebook too. Does anybody have any questions in these last few minutes about sharing MetaPWR and using some of these resources? You can put it in the chat. I see something here. Where do you find the videos and the resources? Can Nancy, I put that in the chat. What does my Facebook? Linda, are you asking if I have an ad? I'm not doing ads on Facebook. I'm going and I'm adding friends. So I'm trying to add 10 people a week to my Facebook friend list. You can have up to 5,000 friends. So I'm going to almost hit 5,000 soon. So I'll have to start cleaning up my Facebook. Susan, you do have to be on our team to be in the Facebook group, but you could go ask, if you're not on our team, you can ask your upline to create one, or you can create one yourself. It's a system called the Sizzle method. And I'll put it in here. My friend Amanda created it, and her husband Aaron, they made the video. Okay, Mandy, that's a great question. So Mandy is asking about people who have issues when they first start taking MetaPWR. We're at 11 o'clock, so I'll keep this brief. When I enroll someone, I suggest that they do Advantage only for the first 4 days. And I recommend that they try it out in the morning and they try it out in the evening and they see which one feels better. And they also talk to me if they have any adverse effects. Advantage can often be the one that gives any kind of detox symptoms, or people sometimes have to do half dose. So I make sure that they feel great with that. If they don't feel great, I talk to them about drinking more water, exercising, moving their body, and going to a half dose until they get used to it. If they feel great with Advantage in the first 4 days, then we add Assist, do that for 4 days, and then we add the oil. That's how I manage that. That way I can catch adverse effects before they get out of hand. And usually it's a matter of drink more water, move your body, take less. And so we try to figure that out first. But I have worked with a customer who is brand new to doTERRA, brand new to oils, kind of brand new to healthy living. And they have been fine with the whole MetaPWR system, but I went slow with them. So Mandy, I would recommend, Mandy's asking if there's a good resource to explain what exactly it's doing. I would go through the doTERRA training in the doTERRA free courses, and there is an ebook, and then I would just research all the ingredients individually. Okay, I want to respect everybody's time, so we'll close up. I'm always available for questions, and I'm sure Ariana and Josie are. Next week, we're going to be talking about the post-viral symptoms and long COVID, and hopefully we'll get Ariana to give us all the goods on her experience there. So come back next week, Mondays at 10 a.m. if you want to learn about that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thank you for all your shares.
Bye, everyone.